In the twilight years of the Roman Empire, as ancient power structures crumbled across Western Europe, a new force emerged from the shadows of chaos. The 5th century Gaul stood as a land divided, a crossroads where Roman legacies, Germanic traditions, and bold new ambitions would collide to forge the foundations of medieval Europe. Let us journey back to this pivotal moment in history, where the last Roman garrisons cling to their weathered fortresses, while Germanic tribes traverse the wild frontiers. In this dynamic landscape, the Franks would rise from relative obscurity to become architects of a new European order. The geography of this era played a crucial role in shaping the Merovingian destiny. To the east lay Germania, with its dense, mysterious forests stretching beyond the Rhine River, the traditional boundary of Roman civilization. These woodlands served not just as hunting grounds, but as sacred spaces where ancient Germanic traditions flourished. The thick canopy of oak and beech trees concealed tribal settlements and warrior bands, providing natural defenses against would-be invaders. To the west spread the fertile plains of Gaul, a landscape transformed by centuries of Roman cultivation. Here, a network of Roman roads, though falling into disrepair, still connected ancient cities and military outposts. These stone-paved arteries would prove invaluable for the Frankish expansion, allowing swift movement of armies and merchants across vast territories. The climate of the region shaped both agriculture and warfare. Mild summers permitted extensive farming in the Gallic plains, while harsh winters often forced a pause in military campaigns. The rivers, the Rhine, Seine, Loire, and their tributaries, served as both natural borders and vital trade routes, their valleys hosting the most prosperous settlements. In this period, the architectural landscape told its own story of transition. Roman urban centers, with their stone walls and grand public buildings, stood as testament to a fading empire. Yet within and around these cities, new wooden halls rose in Frankish style, combining practical defense with ceremonies of power. Christian churches began to appear more frequently, their incense mixing with the smoke of village hearths, while Roman temples fell into disuse. The soundscape of this world would have been equally telling. The echo of horse hooves on ancient Roman roads, the clash of weapons in training yards, the chants of Christian monks in newly established monasteries, and the multilingual chatter of marketplaces where Latin gradually gave way to Proto-French dialects. This was a world of profound change, where old certainties crumbled and new powers rose. The Franks, especially under Merovingian leadership, proved exceptionally skilled at navigating this transitional period. They understood how to maintain enough of the Roman administrative structure to govern effectively, while introducing their own traditions and innovations. The political geography was equally complex. Beyond the remaining Roman territories under Syagrius, various Germanic kingdoms had established themselves. The Visigoths in the southwest, the Burgundians in the southeast, and the Alemanni in the east. The Merovingians would need to contend with all these powers as they built their kingdom. These geographical and historical conditions created the perfect storm for the rise of a new dynasty. The Merovingians emerged at precisely the right moment to fill the power vacuum left by Rome's retreat, and in doing so, they would lay the groundwork for what would eventually become medieval France, and indeed, much of Western European civilization. If you are passionate about the Middle Ages and want to embark on this historical journey with us, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the Medieval Archives channel so you don't miss any fascinating content. In the grand theater of early medieval Europe, certain figures stood as titans who would forever alter the course of history. None looms larger than Clovis I, but the story encompasses a rich tapestry of remarkable individuals who shaped the Merovingian dynasty. Clovis I emerged as the central figure in this transformative period. Born in 466, he inherited the mantle of leadership at the tender age of 15. Young Clovis possessed an uncommon combination of military prowess and political acumen that would serve him well in the tumultuous years ahead. His reign, lasting from 481 to 511, would become the cornerstone upon which the Frankish kingdom was built. What made Clovis truly exceptional was his remarkable ability to adapt and evolve. While other Germanic leaders remained entrenched in traditional ways, Clovis demonstrated a pragmatic approach to power that would become his hallmark. He understood that true power lay not just in military might, but in the careful manipulation of politics, religion, and culture. The transformation of Clovis from a pagan tribal chief to the first Catholic king of the Franks stands as one of history's most consequential conversions. This was no mere spiritual journey. but a masterful political calculation that would align the Franks with the influential Roman Catholic Church and the Gallo-Roman population they now ruled. But Clovis did not stand alone. His father, Childeric I, had laid crucial groundwork for Merovingian success. Childeric maintained a delicate balance between Frankish independence and cooperation with the remaining Roman authority. His diplomatic skills and military leadership established the foundation upon which his son would build an empire. Archaeological discoveries, particularly his tomb in Tournai, reveal the sophisticated blend of Roman and Frankish cultural elements that characterized his reign. Clotilde, Clovis's Burgundian wife, emerges as one of the most influential women of the early medieval period. A devoted Catholic in a pagan court, she worked tirelessly to convert her husband. Her influence extended beyond religious matters. She was a skilled political operator who helped forge crucial alliances with other kingdoms. After Clovis's death, she continued to wield considerable influence over their sons and the future direction of the kingdom. Saint Remigius, the Bishop of Reims, played a pivotal role as both spiritual guide and political advisor. His involvement in Clovis's conversion went far beyond the famous baptism ceremony. As a representative of the Gallo-Roman aristocracy and the Catholic Church, Remigius helped bridge the gap between Frankish newcomers and the established population. His letters and writings provide crucial insights into this period of transition. Syagrius, often called the last Roman ruler in Gaul, represented the final vestiges of Roman authority. His defeat at Clovis's hands in 486 at the Battle of Soissons marked a decisive turning point. Syagrius's territory, centered around Soissons, became the foundation for Frankish expansion into central Gaul. The supporting cast includes other fascinating figures. Ragnacar, Clovis's relative and rival, ruled Cambrai until Clovis orchestrated his downfall. Alaric II, the Visigothic king, faced Clovis in the crucial Battle of Vouille in 507. Theodoric the Great, the Ostrogothic king of Italy, served as both ally and rival to Clovis, demonstrating the complex web of relationships that characterized early medieval politics. These key figures operated within a world of striking contrasts. They straddled the line between Roman and Germanic traditions, between Christianity and paganism, between old powers and new ambitions. Their decisions and actions would echo through centuries, shaping the development of Western Europe. The success of the Merovingian dynasty rested not just on military might or political maneuvering, but on the ability of these key figures to adapt to changing circumstances while maintaining their grip on power. They created a new synthesis of Roman and Germanic elements that would define the medieval world, establishing patterns of kingship, religion, and governance that would influence European history for centuries to come. The story of the Merovingian dynasty represents one of history's most fascinating transformations, the metamorphosis of scattered tribal confederations into a unified, powerful kingdom. This profound change occurred against a backdrop of competing ideologies, cultures, and power structures that would define medieval Europe. The primary theme revolves around the transformation of power itself. When the Merovingians first emerged, power was highly fragmented, distributed among various Frankish tribes, Roman remnants, and other Germanic peoples. The challenge lay not just in conquering territories, but in creating legitimate, sustainable forms of authority that could bind these disparate elements together. The political landscape was extraordinarily complex. The Merovingians faced the monumental task of unifying not only the various Frankish tribes, but also incorporating other peoples into their realm. This process involved multiple layers of conflict and negotiation. Internal Frankish rivalries required delicate handling. Different Frankish groups maintained their own traditions and leadership structures. The Merovingians had to balance forceful unification with respect for local autonomies. The conquest of Gaul presented both military and administrative challenges. The remaining Roman administrative structure needed to be either dismantled or adapted to serve new masters. Cities, tax systems, and legal frameworks had to be maintained or modified while establishing Frankish authority. New forms of kingship had to be developed. The Merovingians transformed from tribal chieftains into territorial monarchs, creating new symbols and rituals of power that would be acceptable to both Franks and Gallo-Romans. The religious dimension of Merovingian rule represented a crucial battlefield where paganism and Christianity fought for supremacy. This conflict manifested in several ways. Traditional Germanic religious practices carried deep cultural significance for the Franks. These beliefs were intertwined with tribal identity and social structure. Christianity, particularly Catholicism, offered powerful advantages. Legitimacy in the eyes of the Gallo-Roman population, support from the Church's organizational structure, and diplomatic connections with other Christian kingdoms. The conversion process wasn't simply about personal faith. It represented a fundamental restructuring of society. Christian bishops became powerful political figures, monasteries emerged as centers of learning and administration, and Christian concepts of kingship influenced how power was exercised. The cultural dimension presented perhaps the most subtle but far-reaching challenge. The Merovingians had to navigate between Germanic traditions and Roman heritage. Language barriers needed to be overcome. Latin remained the language of administration and the Church, while various Germanic and Proto-Romance dialects were spoken by different populations. Legal systems had to accommodate both Roman law and Germanic custom. The resulting legal codes reflected this dual heritage, with different laws often applying to different populations within the same kingdom. Social structures underwent significant evolution. The Germanic warrior ethos had to be reconciled with Roman concepts of civilian administration. New social hierarchies emerged that combined elements of both traditions. Art and architecture reflected this cultural fusion. Roman building techniques were adapted for new purposes, while Germanic decorative styles influenced everything from manuscript illumination to jewelry. The genius of the Merovingian dynasty lay in their ability to resolve these conflicts through synthesis rather than elimination. They created new forms of power that drew strength from both Germanic and Roman traditions. Political power became more centralized but maintained flexibility through the use of counts and dukes who exercised local authority. Religious transformation succeeded because it incorporated elements of traditional authority structures while introducing new spiritual dimensions. Cultural integration produced a unique Frankish civilization that would serve as the foundation for medieval European society. The resolution of these conflicts under the Merovingians established patterns that would influence European history for centuries. The fusion of Germanic and Roman elements became a template for later medieval kingdoms. The alliance between church and state set patterns for political-religious relationships throughout the Middle Ages. The adaptation of Roman administrative structures for Germanic kingdoms provided models for state-building across Europe. These transformations and conflicts of the Merovingian era weren't merely historical events. They represented the birth pangs of medieval European civilization. The solutions they found to these fundamental challenges would echo through centuries of European history, influencing everything from law and governance to art and architecture. The social fabric of Merovingian society was intricate and layered, woven from threads of both Germanic and Roman traditions. Let us delve into the daily rhythms and social hierarchies that defined this transformative period in European history. At the pinnacle of Merovingian society stood the royal family. These rulers lived in great wooden halls adorned with tapestries and precious metalwork. The Merovingian kings were instantly recognizable by their distinctive long hair, a sacred symbol of their right to rule. They would travel between various royal estates throughout the year, a practice known as the itinerant kingship. This constant movement served both administrative and symbolic purposes, allowing the king to display his authority and personally manage different regions of the realm. The warrior elite, known as the Luds, formed the backbone of Frankish military might. These professional warriors lived in close proximity to their king, serving as both his bodyguards and the core of his army. They maintained their own retinues of lesser warriors and received land grants in exchange for their service. Their daily lives revolved around military training, hunting, and participating in the king's council. Their halls echoed with tales of battle prowess and ancient Germanic sagas, even as they gradually adopted the trappings of Roman nobility. The Gallo-Roman aristocracy represented a crucial bridge between the old Roman world and the new Frankish order. These educated elites maintained much of their wealth and influence by serving as administrators, bishops, and royal advisors. Their villas continued to function as centers of agricultural production and cultural preservation. They spoke Latin, maintained libraries, and preserved many aspects of Roman civic life, even as they adapted to Frankish rule. The lives of common farmers and servants followed the eternal rhythms of agricultural life. They worked from dawn to dusk, tending crops and livestock. Their homes were simple wooden structures, often clustered around the estate of a noble patron. The agricultural calendar dictated their daily activities, from spring planting to autumn harvest. They paid taxes in both goods and labor, contributing to the maintenance of roads, bridges, and fortifications. Merovingian halls served as the centers of political and social life. These great wooden buildings combined practical defense with ceremonial splendor. The King's Hall, or Aula Regia, was where justice was dispensed, feasts were held, and diplomatic relationships were forged. During grand feasts, the hall would be filled with the sound of harps and flutes, the smell of roasted meats, and the glitter of golden drinking vessels. The fusion of Frankish and Roman traditions manifested in every aspect of daily life. The Merovingian elite gradually adopted Roman dining customs, reclining on couches during feasts while still drinking from their traditional Germanic drinking horns. They embraced Roman fashion while maintaining distinctly Frankish hairstyles and weapons. Their jewelry combined Roman craftsmanship with Germanic designs. Religious life underwent profound transformation during this period. As Christianity spread, the rhythm of Christian festivals began to overlay traditional Germanic celebrations. Monasteries emerged as centers of learning and production, their bells marking the hours of prayer and work. Yet older beliefs persisted, particularly in rural areas, creating a unique spiritual landscape. Urban life continued in a modified form. While many Roman cities declined, they remained important centers of trade and ecclesiastical authority. Markets brought together Frankish warriors, Gallo-Roman merchants, and foreign traders. The sounds of different languages, Latin, Germanic dialects, and early Romance tongues, filled the marketplace. Justice was administered through a combination of Roman law and Frankish custom. Local counts held court, dealing with everything from property disputes to violent crimes. The Merovingian legal system recognized different laws for different peoples, with Franks and Romans often being judged according to their respective traditional laws. This rich tapestry of daily life and social structure would prove remarkably durable, laying the groundwork for medieval European society. The Merovingian ability to maintain traditional power structures while adapting to new circumstances created a stable foundation for cultural and political development that would influence European society for centuries to come. What fascinates you more about Merovingian society? Their remarkable ability to adapt Roman customs, or their preservation of unique Frankish traditions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The ascent of the Merovingian dynasty was marked by several decisive moments that would forever alter the course of European history. Each of these events represented a crucial turning point, transforming the political, religious, and cultural landscape of early medieval Europe. The Battle of Soissons in 486 stands as one of the most significant military engagements of the early medieval period. On the plains near the ancient Roman city of Soissons, Clovis I led his Frankish warriors against Syagrius, the last Roman ruler in northern Gaul. The battlefield witnessed the clash of two worlds, the declining Roman order and the rising Germanic power. Syagrius commanded the remnants of Roman military discipline, while Clovis brought the fierce mobility of Frankish warriors. The battle itself was decisive. Frankish tactics, combining cavalry charges with infantry attacks, overwhelmed the Roman forces. Syagrius fled to the Visigothic kingdom, but was later surrendered to Clovis and executed. This victory effectively ended nearly 5 centuries of Roman rule in northern Gaul. The Franks now controlled a vast territory stretching from the Rhine to the Loire, including the crucial center of power around Paris. The famous episode of the Vase of Soissons, occurring shortly after this victory, reveals much about the evolving nature of Frankish kingship. During the distribution of spoils from a church raid, a precious vase was claimed by both the church and a Frankish warrior. When Clovis requested the vase to return it to the church, the warrior defiantly smashed it, declaring that only his fair share of loot was subject to distribution. A year later, during a military inspection, Clovis recognized the warrior, split his skull with an axe, and declared, "Thus did you to the vase at Soissons." This incident demonstrated the growing authority of Frankish kingship and its complex relationship with the church. The conversion of Clovis to Christianity in 496 marked perhaps the most profound transformation in Merovingian history. The traditional account links his conversion to the Battle of Tolbiac against the Alemanni. As his forces faced defeat, Clovis supposedly vowed to accept Christianity if Christ granted him victory. The battle turned in his favor, and true to his word, Clovis was baptized by Bishop Remigius of Reims on Christmas Day. The political implications of this conversion were immense. By choosing Catholic Christianity over the Arian Christianity common among other Germanic rulers, Clovis aligned himself with the Gallo-Roman population and the powerful Catholic Church. His baptism was a carefully choreographed spectacle, with Bishop Remigius declaring, "Bow your head, proud Sicambrian. Adore what you have burned. Burn what you have adored." This religious transformation complemented Clovis's program of Frankish unification. Through a combination of military conquest, political assassination, and strategic alliances, he systematically eliminated other Frankish kings. The chronicles record how he manipulated family rivalries, convinced the son of one king to murder his father, then had the son killed for his treachery. While these accounts may be embellished, they reflect the brutal reality of early medieval power politics. The unification of the Franks under Merovingian rule set the stage for their dominance of Western Europe. Clovis established his capital at Paris, symbolically placing himself at the center of the old Roman world while maintaining connections to his Frankish roots. He codified Frankish law in the Salic Code, which would influence European legal traditions for centuries. Following these pivotal events, the Merovingian dynasty embarked on a period of expansion and consolidation. They defeated the Visigoths in 507 at Vuil, extending their control into southern Gaul. They established diplomatic relations with the Eastern Roman Empire, receiving recognition and honorary titles that legitimized their rule in Roman eyes. The succession pattern established by Clovis would have long-lasting consequences. Following Frankish custom, he divided his kingdom among his 4 sons. This practice of partition would characterize Merovingian rule, leading to periods of civil war, but also ensuring the dynasty's survival through multiple branches. These pivotal events transformed the Merovingians from tribal chiefs into true kings, establishing patterns of rulership that would influence European monarchy for centuries. Their success lay in their ability to combine traditional Frankish military prowess with political adaptability, creating a new synthesis of Roman and Germanic traditions that would define medieval Europe. The Merovingian period witnessed a remarkable fusion of cultural and intellectual traditions that would shape medieval European civilization. This era saw the emergence of unique artistic expressions and religious practices that bridged the gap between Roman and Germanic worlds. Religious syncretism characterized the spiritual landscape of Merovingian society. While Christianity became the official religion, it absorbed and transformed many Germanic customs. Sacred groves became sites for Christian shrines, while traditional Frankish festivals were gradually incorporated into the Christian calendar. The celebration of saints took on particular importance, with local holy men and women becoming powerful intercessors between heaven and earth. The Church played a crucial role in legitimizing Merovingian power. Bishops acted as both spiritual leaders and political advisors, creating a new model of sacred kingship. The ceremony of royal anointing, first practiced with Clovis's baptism, established a divine connection for Frankish rule. This ritual would become fundamental to medieval concepts of monarchy throughout Europe. Monasteries emerged as vibrant centers of intellectual life and cultural preservation. These institutions served multiple functions in Merovingian society. They were centers of learning where ancient texts were copied and preserved, workshops where skilled craftsmen produced manuscripts and religious objects, and agricultural centers that developed new farming techniques. The scriptorium, or writing room, of each monastery buzzed with activity as monks carefully copied both religious and secular texts. They developed distinctive Merovingian scripts, characterized by elongated letters and elaborate abbreviations. These scriptoria preserved classical knowledge while creating new works of theology, history, and law. Merovingian jewelry represents some of the finest artistic achievements of the period. Craftsmen combined Germanic decorative traditions with Roman techniques to create stunning pieces. Their work featured intricate patterns of interlaced designs, often incorporating precious stones and glass inlays. The famous garnet cloisonné technique, where garnets were cut and fitted into gold cells, reached new heights of sophistication. The illuminated manuscripts produced during this period tell their own story of cultural synthesis. These works combine Germanic abstract patterns with Christian iconography and Roman artistic traditions. The resulting style was distinctive, featuring complex geometric designs, stylized figures, and rich color combinations. The Gelasian Sacramentary and the Luxeuil manuscripts exemplify this unique artistic vision. Merovingian architecture reflected both practical needs and spiritual aspirations. The first Frankish churches adapted Roman basilica designs while incorporating Germanic building techniques. Wooden churches, now lost, likely displayed elaborate carved decorations similar to those found in Germanic great halls. Stone churches featured thick walls, rounded arches, and often incorporated Roman spolia, reused architectural elements. The development of church architecture paralleled the evolution of liturgical practices. Churches were designed to accommodate both the formal Roman liturgy and Germanic traditions of community worship. The result was a unique architectural style that would influence early Romanesque architecture. Intellectual life centered around both practical and theological concerns. Merovingian scholars grappled with questions of religious doctrine, while also preserving practical knowledge of medicine, agriculture, and law. Gregory of Tours, perhaps the most famous Merovingian intellectual, produced works that combined historical narrative with religious instruction and moral teaching. The Merovingian legal tradition exemplified their talent for cultural synthesis. The Salic law, codified under Clovis, combined Germanic custom with Roman legal principles. This legal code would influence European law for centuries, particularly in areas of inheritance and property rights. Musical traditions also evolved during this period. The Gregorian chant, though later attributed to Pope Gregory I, incorporated elements of Gallican chant developed in Merovingian churches. The fusion of Roman and Frankish musical traditions created new forms of sacred music that would dominate medieval Christian worship. The material culture of the Merovingians reveals much about their daily lives and values. Archaeological discoveries have unearthed elaborate burial goods, including weapons, jewelry, and household items. These artifacts demonstrate the high level of craftsmanship achieved by Merovingian artisans and the complex trading networks that supplied them with materials. Language itself underwent significant transformation during this period. While Latin remained the language of administration and scholarship, it began evolving into early Romance dialects. Meanwhile, Frankish contributed numerous words to what would become French, particularly in military and political terminology. The intellectual and cultural achievements of the Merovingian period laid crucial foundations for medieval European civilization. Their ability to preserve and adapt classical knowledge while incorporating Germanic traditions created a new cultural synthesis that would influence European art, architecture, and thought for centuries to come. The Merovingian dynasty stood at the crossroads of various cultural, political, and economic influences, masterfully navigating a complex web of diplomatic relationships that would shape the future of Western Europe. In the realm of diplomatic relations, the Merovingians demonstrated remarkable skill in forging strategic alliances. Their relationship with the Burgundians proved particularly significant, culminating in Clovis I's marriage to the Burgundian princess Clotilda. This union not only strengthened political ties, but also played a crucial role in the Christianization of the Frankish kingdom. The Burgundian connection provided the Merovingians with a valuable ally in their southeastern frontier and access to important trade routes through the Rhone Valley. The Merovingian relationship with the Visigoths was marked by both conflict and careful diplomacy. The tensions culminated in the decisive Battle of Vouille in 507, where Clovis I defeated the Visigothic forces under Alaric II. This victory extended Merovingian influence deep into southern Gaul, fundamentally altering the balance of power in Western Europe. However, the Merovingians maintained diplomatic channels with the surviving Visigothic kingdom in Spain, recognizing the importance of stable borders. Perhaps most intriguingly, the Merovingians cultivated a sophisticated relationship with the Eastern Roman Empire in Constantinople. The Emperor Anastasius I granted Clovis the honorary title of consul, symbolically legitimizing Merovingian rule in the eyes of the Roman world. This recognition proved invaluable in establishing Merovingian authority over the Gallo-Roman population and positioning the Frankish kingdom as the legitimate successor to Roman power in the West. The commercial connections of the Merovingian realm extended far beyond their immediate neighbors. Archaeological evidence reveals extensive trade networks reaching from the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean. Luxury goods from Constantinople regularly made their way to Merovingian courts, including fine textiles, spices, and precious metalwork. The port cities of Marseille and Narbonne served as crucial gateways for this Mediterranean commerce, linking the Frankish kingdom to the wider world of international trade. Cultural exchange flourished under Merovingian rule. The adoption of Roman administrative practices proved crucial for governing their expanding territory. They maintained much of the Roman tax system, adapted Roman agricultural techniques, and continued using Roman roads and urban centers. The Merovingian court absorbed elements of Roman ceremony while maintaining distinctive Frankish traditions, creating a unique synthesis that would influence medieval European court culture. The linguistic legacy of these interactions remains evident today. The evolving language of the Merovingian period incorporated Latin, Germanic, and Celtic elements, laying the foundation for Old French. Legal terminology, in particular, reflected this cultural fusion, with Roman legal concepts merging with Germanic customary law in the famous Salic Code. Educational and religious exchanges played a vital role in shaping Merovingian society. Monasteries maintained connections with religious centers across Europe and the Mediterranean, facilitating the exchange of manuscripts, religious artifacts, and learning. Irish and Anglo-Saxon missionaries brought new religious practices and intellectual traditions to the Frankish realm, enriching its cultural landscape. The material culture of the Merovingians reflects this international outlook. Jewelry found in Merovingian graves shows influences from as far away as Byzantium and Persia, while weapons and armor display a mixture of Frankish, Roman, and Eastern designs. The famous garnet cloisonné technique, perfected by Merovingian craftsmen, required garnets imported from as far as India and Sri Lanka. These external interactions and influences transformed the Merovingian kingdom from a tribal confederation into a sophisticated medieval state. Their ability to absorb and adapt foreign influences, while maintaining their own cultural identity, created a model for successful state building that would influence European development for centuries to come. The legacy of the Merovingian dynasty extends far beyond their temporal reign, casting long shadows that still influence European civilization today. Their contributions to political organization, religious development, and cultural synthesis created enduring patterns that would shape medieval Europe and beyond. The Merovingians laid the crucial groundwork for what would become medieval France. Their success in uniting diverse territories under a single crown established patterns of governance that would influence French political development for centuries. The concept of Paris as a capital city, first established under Clovis I, would prove particularly significant, creating a centralized focus for French political and cultural life that continues to this day. Their role in establishing Catholicism as the dominant religion in Western Europe cannot be overstated. The conversion of Clovis I and his subsequent support for the Catholic Church created a model of church-state relations that would characterize medieval European society. The alliance between throne and altar, first forged during the Merovingian period, would become a defining feature of Western Christianity. The Merovingian achievement in creating a successful fusion of Germanic and Roman traditions provided a template for cultural synthesis that would be emulated throughout medieval Europe. Their ability to maintain Germanic military prowess while adapting Roman administrative practices demonstrated how different cultural traditions could be successfully combined to create strong and stable societies. In terms of institutional legacy, the Merovingians contributed significantly to the development of European legal traditions. The Salic law, codified under their rule, influenced medieval law throughout Europe and continues to impact modern legal thinking, particularly in areas of inheritance and property rights. Their administrative innovations, combining Roman efficiency with Germanic customary practices, created flexible governance structures that would prove remarkably adaptable. The formation of French national identity owes much to the Merovingian period. The dynasty's success in uniting Gallic and Frankish populations under a single authority created the foundations for French nationality. The French language itself bears witness to this synthesis, with many words related to government and warfare deriving from Frankish roots while maintaining its fundamental Latin structure. Modern European institutions continue to reflect patterns first established during the Merovingian era. The concept of regional administration through counts and dukes, the importance of written law codes, and the balance between central and local authority all have roots in Merovingian innovations. The European Union's principle of unity and diversity echoes the Merovingian ability to maintain cohesion while respecting local traditions. The Merovingian impact on Western Christianity extends beyond mere political support. Their patronage of monasteries established patterns of religious organization that would characterize medieval Christianity. The network of monasteries they supported became centers of learning and culture, preserving classical knowledge while developing new intellectual traditions. Archaeological evidence continues to reveal the sophistication of Merovingian material culture. Their craftwork, particularly in metalworking and jewelry, demonstrates technical and artistic achievements that influenced medieval artistic development. The distinctive Merovingian artistic style, combining Germanic and Roman elements, created new aesthetic traditions that would influence European art for generations. The Merovingian period also provides valuable lessons for understanding contemporary challenges. Their success in managing cultural integration, balancing central authority with local autonomy, and adapting to changing circumstances offers insights relevant to modern political and social challenges. Their ability to create unity while respecting diversity remains particularly pertinent in today's interconnected world. In the realm of gender relations, the Merovingian period provides interesting historical precedents. The powerful roles played by Merovingian queens like Brunhild and Fredegund demonstrate how women could exercise significant political influence even within patriarchal structures. These historical examples continue to inform discussions about gender and power in society. The study of the Merovingian dynasty reminds us that successful societies are often built on the ability to adapt and synthesize different traditions. Their legacy teaches us that cultural exchange and adaptation, rather than rigid adherence to tradition, can create strong and lasting institutions. The Merovingian legacy continues to fascinate and inform us today. What aspects of their achievement do you find most relevant to our contemporary world? Are there lessons from their success in cultural integration that might help us address modern challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating explorations of the dynasties that shaped medieval Europe.